Welcome back. You are tuned in to Trader Station. My pleasure to have with us here today Joanna Crutch, author of The Guide to Intelligent Giving and Giving, Make the Difference in the World and Your Own Life. Joanna, welcome to Traders Nation. How are you today?
It's great to be here.
Good, good. Listen, philanthropy, it's not just for the wealthy, is it?
Well, hardly. It doesn't have to do with the zeros in your bank account, and these days people are feeling the need even more. I think there's a lot more to giving than many people think about. Philanthropy has this image somehow still of being, tuxedos and tiaras and blue chip sort of thing. But really the word comes from the Greek. It means love of mankind. I would venture to say humankind these days.
Sure.
And there's so much more you can give besides dollars, including your time, which is the most precious resource of all. You can't get that back.
Sure. Now, let's, for a good example, let's talk about this because you can donate money, and it doesn't have to be $10,000 dinner plates. Let's face it. I donate like $5 to Numbers USA every once in a while I can for illegal immigration issues. So we can do things like that, can't we, in small ways? They don't necessarily always have to be in big ways, right, Joanna?
No, absolutely. The idea is to step over the line and decide that there's something you believe in and you become part of the solution.
Yeah.
And the amazing part of this is that the giving somehow gives back to you. I mean, when you give that $5, don't you feel terrific?
I feel terrific every time because I know it goes for a good cause. Well, let's also talk about our time because that's not money. That's our time. And we all do have a little spare time somewhere that we can give to a charitable organization.
The amazing thing is that I think there's still a cliche out there that volunteering is something that the ladies who lunch do, or grandmas who are trying to fill up their days. But the group that gives the most time in this country, to my mind, is the one that has the least amount of time in their lives, and that is working moms. Can you imagine?
Right. Yeah.
So they give the most. And then, of course, that time is valued. It's like over $1 billion that's going to an extraordinary number of different causes, and nobody's actually valuing that amount of time, and time we know is money.
Yeah, Joanna, would you agree that Americans are more aware of what's going on around them and where they're becoming more passionate with these issues?
Well, there's something called flash giving that has arisen in the last several years, and that has to do with how the media brings dreadful disasters right to your doorstep. We saw the tsunami happening. We've seen Katrina happening. We've seen the earthquake in China happening, and it almost feels as if it's in real time because it's brought to us so instantaneously.
Sure.
And that evokes a great deal of sympathy and dollars. I would just caution people to not give out of guilt ever, never give out of guilt, and to think about what you want to accomplish when you give money or time or resources like an antique or a car or a computer. What is it you're trying to do to move the needle, not just throw something in the pot to try and help?
Right. All right. So here I am. I have a little time, maybe a little guilt too, but I won't get into that.
No, don't do it as guilt.
I won't do that. I'm just kidding. But I have a little time, and I want to get started. What do I do? I mean, I look around and I say, okay, what do I do? Do I go online? Do I find an organization? Is it like finding that organization to assist? Is it much like trying to fit a perfect shoe for yourself? Is that what you look for?
Well, The Guide to Intelligent Giving, the book I've written, includes a lot of stories from many people, both bold-faced type names, celebrities, and people who are just, like you and me, not in the tabloids all the time.
Yeah.
And one of these people, Abby Disney, who is the grandniece of Walt Disney, who's been a philanthropist for decades, from the Disney, big storied Disney company, says that what she says to her kids about giving is find something that you feel a little angry about. Find something that makes you indignant. And that's where to start. Don't start with the organization. Start with what it is that your passion is. And from there are 650 community foundations across the country. You can find one in your area by going to communityfoundations.net.
Oh.
And the plan giving officer there or any staff member would be delighted to tell you what's going on in the community. They're very plugged into local kinds of causes.
Yeah, and how can we know as givers, how can we know if what we give is going to majority of what they're doing?
Well, this is something of a nuanced issue. There's that old thumbnail that says compare what they spend on programs and what they spend on what's called back office or administrative costs, including staff and including their, turning on the light bulb and electric bills.
Right.
And I just find that not really fair because, for instance, if you're an organization that's tiny, you have 2 staff members and you have 100 volunteers, it's going to look as if those 2 people's salary covers more than you get in But in fact, the volunteers are donating time. Or if you're an organization that ships things, like Gary Sinise at CSI New York, he ships school supplies to Iraq. That costs a lot, that distribution, as opposed to handing it out at the food shelter down the block. So I think people need to look at what it is the organization is doing. Is the mission being accomplished, not how much they spend?
Right, all right. Good examples, by the way. Times are tough right now all the way around, so more than ever.
Dreadful.
Yeah, good organizations need donations. How are they getting by?
Well, it's interesting. Just today, charitable giving for 2008 came out from Giving USA, which is the company, then the organization that reports on individual charitable giving. And in fact, it's up from 2007 to 2008. Big whoop, right?
Yeah.
We now have $307 billion given in 2008 by individuals, and it was $306 billion. So it's up $1 billion even in this bad economy. I think people know that there's a lot of difficulty. I think there are a lot of foundations that are now giving out of their endowment, which they didn't used to do. They only used to give out of the interest. But now that the stock market has cratered, they're actually taking it out of the principal, and they're giving. So I don't think corporations are doing that as much as families and individuals.
Right. All right. Now, where can we find a copy of the guide
to Intelligent Giving,
yes,
not dumb giving, right?
That's right.
You can find it on my website, which is JoannaKrotz.com. That's JoannaKrotz, and it has some tips for how to be a smart giver, as well as Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or any bookstore.
All right. Joanna Krotz with us here today, the Guide to Intelligent Giving. Make a difference in the world and your own life. Joanna,
it's a great joy. It's not just about giving.
That's right. Head on over to your website today and pick up a copy of the Guide to Intelligent Giving today. Joanna, thank you.
Thank you.
You're more than welcome. All right. You heard the website. Amazon.com is another great place. Barnes & Noble, even if your local corner bookstore. Support the small guy on the corner, too. He needs your business, doesn't he? Right there in your community. If you can't get out, Amazon.com is where you can go, too.